Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Alyssa. Today we are talking all about healthy Halloween treats. I'm going to show you how to make 3 delicious Halloween inspired recipes. They are sweet, they are healthy, they are gluten-free, they are vegan, and they don't use any refined cane sugar, which I love. I'm excited to be partnering with my friends at Simple Mills to bring you today's video. Simple Mills is an amazing company with an amazing mission. If you don't already know who they are, they create delicious, like seriously delicious, grain-free, gluten-free, and mostly plant-based products. They have things like crunchy cookies, they have baking mixes, they have pizza crust, they have crackers, they have so many different amazing products, and they use incredibly clean ingredients, which I adore. They are on a mission to basically reinvent the central part of the grocery store, giving you healthy alternatives to all of those other processed and packaged foods. So I think they are the perfect partner for today's video. We are going to be making, like I said, 3 different recipes, and I can't wait to dive in. So don't forget to hit that red subscribe button if you are not yet part of our community, and let's go ahead and check out these recipes. To make our pumpkin brownies, we are going to use Simple Mills pumpkin muffin and bread mix, and this is a really easy recipe to make. So you're just going to add the entire contents of the bag into a bowl. To that, we're going to add 2 flax eggs, a 1/4 cup of pumpkin puree, some apple cider vinegar, and a little bit of olive oil, as well as some water, and just stir that all together until you get a nice thick dough. So I will say this recipe definitely does better with eggs. It's a lot lighter and fluffier with eggs, so if you can tolerate eggs or you eat eggs, I would recommend doing that. If not, you can use the vegan version. Once you've got a really nice fluffy batter, you can transfer it into a parchment-lined baking sheet. I'm using a square 8x8 pan, which is definitely the size I recommend. And you are going to bake this at 350 degrees for about 30 to 40 minutes until it feels almost done. I will tell you again, the vegan version takes a little bit longer and it doesn't get quite as fluffy like I mentioned, so it might feel like it's underbaked, but once you let it cool completely, it will be sliceable and still yummy. While it's cooling, you can whip up your frosting. The frosting is made from some vegan cream cheese. You can use any variety that you like, as well as some maple syrup and a little bit of pumpkin pie spice, and just whisk this all together or stir it all together until it's nice and creamy. Pop the frosting into a Ziploc bag or a piping bag if you have one, and if you are using the Ziploc, you can just trim the end of the Ziploc bag so that you get a nice DIY piping bag. And when you're ready to pipe on your frosting, basically just drizzle it back and forth across each bar, and it doesn't have to look the best. I know that some of these aren't like the prettiest, but they're still going to taste really good. And if you're making it for kids, nobody's really going to care in the end, are they? So just kind of do it however you think looks good. And then for your quote unquote eyes, you can either use candy eyes, buy those on Amazon or another candy store, or you can just use chocolate chips, which is what I did. And I basically just popped 2 chocolate chips onto our mummies for eyes. And the frosting will get harder as it sits, so you can pop these in the fridge if you want and then pull them out and when you're ready to serve them and let them come to room temperature. But either way, they taste really yummy. I love the cream cheese and pumpkin option. And who wouldn't want to eat a pumpkin bar that looks like a mummy? Am I right? So for our chocolate dirt cups, we are going to start by blending up our dirt, and it is made from the crunchy chocolate cookies from Simple Mills. You're just going to add some of these into the food processor. I use about half of the bag. I don't need to use the full bag for this one. Save some for leftovers. And you will just add them into the food processor, pop on the lid, and process them up until you get a dirt-like consistency. Then you can transfer them into a bowl and set that aside. Return the food processor bowl to the base, and we'll make the avocado pudding. So to do that, you are going to half 2 avocados and scoop the flesh into the food processor. Follow that with some raw cacao powder, maple syrup, some almond milk, and a pinch of sea salt. And we'll just blend this up until it's smooth and creamy and it resembles a chocolate pudding. Feel free to add a tiny bit more almond milk or maple syrup if it needs to be a little bit thinner, but it really just depends on the size of your avocados. I found that a 1/4 cup of everything was the perfect amount. You can also just taste it. You could sweeten it with a tiny bit of stevia if you want it to be a little bit sweeter, but it's good as is, I think. And then the last thing that we're going to do is actually just make some green pistachios. So I chopped up some pistachios, add a little bit of matcha powder in here, stir it together, and that's going to kind of look like some grass on top of our dirt pots. Optional, but I think it adds a really nice look to it. So to assemble the dirt pots, you are going to start by putting some pudding into little jars or little glasses. Top that with some dirt, sprinkle on your green pistachios or your grass, and then I like to just put in 1 extra cookie just because I think it looks really pretty and it's kind of like fun to scoop out everything. And you can just eat these with a spoon. You can serve them cold. They taste really yummy. They're fun to make, easy to make, and they've got a really nice chocolate flavor without being overly indulgent. For the pumpkin pie parfaits, we are going to start with our pumpkin pie base. So you're going to use some raw cashews and you're going to top those with hot water, and we'll just let them sit for about an hour until they soften up and they're easier to blend. Once your cashews are soaked and ready for blending, you can just rinse them and kind of drain off the water and add them into your blender along with some pumpkin puree, some maple syrup, pumpkin pie spice, and a pinch of sea salt. And we will start by popping this on the blender and starting to blend it. I had to add some almond milk. You might not have to, depending on the consistency of your pumpkin. I ended up having to use about a 1/4 cup of almond milk to get it the right consistency. And really what you're looking for is a thick cheesecake-like batter. So it's going to be smooth, it'll be creamy, but when you remove your lid, it still should hold its shape. So kind of like if you were whipping egg whites and they hold into stiff peaks, that's kind of what you're looking for. So it's thick and creamy and smooth, and it looks kind of like this, like the filling of a cheesecake. You can set that aside while we move on to our black yogurt filling part. For that, we are going to add some coconut yogurt into a bowl, and then you're basically just going to add some activated charcoal powder. This is totally optional. You don't have to use charcoal. You could totally just leave it white, but if you want that kind of black spooky Halloween color, you can add some of the charcoal powder and just stir it together until you get a black/gray/ kind of spooky color. Again, set that aside and we'll move on to our final layer, which is the cookies. So for this, we are using the Simple Mills Crunchy Toasted Pecan Cookies. These are so yummy. I love them so much. And we are going to add some of those cookies into a plastic bag. Again, I use about half the bag here. Save some for leftovers because you're going to want to eat them. And you can just use a jar, a measuring cup, a rolling pin, whatever, to just kind of smash the cookies into little pieces. We don't want them to be quite as fine as the dirt, so that's why I like to do it this method, because you can kind of control how big those chunks are, and we do want them to be chunky. Once you have them all crumbled up, we are ready to assemble our parfaits. I like to do the first layer of pumpkin cheesecake, then a layer of the black yogurt, then the cookies, then another layer of cheesecake, and I actually didn't have any room for everything else, but you can kind of just repeat depending on how big your jars are. And then on the very top, I do a tiny dollop of the black yogurt and kind of swirl it together with a toothpick. Kind of supposed to make like a cool spiderwebby look. Totally optional, you don't have to do that either. And then finish it off with a few little crumbles of the toasted pecan cookies. And then you can just serve these up cold. Again, just like the dirt pops, you can store them in the fridge. They should keep really well, and just dig in with a spoon, and these are so yummy. They taste like pumpkin cheesecake. And again, they're one of those really indulgent tasting treats that are actually really healthy. All right, my friends, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed today's recipes. Can't wait to hear which one you guys are excited to try most. I personally love that pumpkin cheesecake parfait. It is so good. Like something that I will make all year round because it's that good. I also want to thank Simple Mills for joining us in today's video. If you have not yet tried any of their products or you want to check out these specific ones that I used in today's video, I've included individual product links down for you in the description box. I've also created a blog post which details the full recipes that we've talked about today, as well as gives you a few other healthy Halloween inspired treats to try. So there is tons of inspiration in that blog post. I also just want to say I love that you can find Simple Mills on Amazon now. So if you don't have access to Whole Foods or a natural grocery store near you, you can hop right on Amazon and buy these products, which I think is so awesome. If you guys enjoyed today's video, please give it a big thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe if you are not yet part of our community, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!